You got the sun right behind you, don't you?
Okay, so Deidre's the
This
only
conference will now be recorded.
Deidre's the only one not here, and I don't see her on the Zoom, on the GoTo. So I guess we'll go ahead and start.
Okay.
So as we do this, do I need to share all the things that we're looking at on the GoToMeeting screen as well?
If you have something that you want to share, I can make you the presenter.
Well, it would be to start out with just the agenda. It's
Okay.
more a matter of do I need to share it then?
Not necessarily.
Okay, well, you correct me if there's something going on that I absolutely need to share, but
Okay.
with everyone here, I think I've sent the agenda out to everyone, so let's review the agenda to start with. If that's okay, we'll have on your email the agenda. We've got several sets of minutes to approve. I've got a question, Tina, on that. With the executive session minutes, it's okay to talk about those for approval in open session or not?
There are no minutes taken in executive session.
Okay.
So there would be no minutes for that.
Gotcha. Okay, very good. And then in the, so we'll just consider what we wrote down as notes to help us guide us and for remembering things and stuff. They aren't official minutes. Do you follow what I'm saying?
If there were notes taken, then those would just be if that's correct, yes.
Yeah, we just use those to refer back to in case we need help moving forward. So, okay, then Tina, if there's any, and if there's not, that's fine, but we'll give you an opportunity to tell us if there's any update from the commissioner side of things. And then we'll go back into executive session and look at grant applications again. We'll return to open session in order to decide what are going to be our next steps. And then finally, what I have in mind is that we'd set the next meeting date and adjourn.
Okay.
So is everyone okay with the agenda as presented? Okay, with that in mind, then let's go to the September 25th minutes, if you could pull those up, and let's consider those for approval. I had a chance to look at them earlier. I don't know if you guys did or not. If not, take a look at them now, but I had nothing that to add or to correct. Go ahead.
I wasn't here.
Okay.
Okay, so correction, Lloyd was not present for September 25th or October 2 or both?
For both.
Okay, for both.
I don't think she has a comment.
Okay.
We're talking about September or October right now?
September 25, thanks Randy. Thanks Lloyd, will you make that correction?
I will.
Christine,
Mhm.
okay. Anything else on the September 25 minutes? Hearing nothing else, let's consider those approved by consensus. And let's go to the October 2 minutes from last Friday. And we talked quite a bit about nursing home facilities, and there were a couple of motions and some decisions made, and then we had an executive session to consider grant applications. We didn't get through all of them, but we got through some of them. And then, of course, we made the decision today. So as you're looking there, is there anything, corrections or questions about last Friday's minutes?
Yes, I was here. I'm not listed. I was here.
Okay, thanks. So add Randy Frank to those present. Thank you, Randy. Anything else? Okay, hearing nothing else, let's consider those minutes for October 2, approved by consensus. Christine, when you get those slide adjustments made, would you send them out to everybody, including Tina, so she can file them?
Okay, I will do that.
Thank you. Tina, is there any update that you think would be helpful for the task force from the commissioner's meeting? Yes.
The only thing from the commissioners meeting was that they did approve the reallocation that was recommended by the task force.
Okay. And that was of the $33,473 that had originally been intended for a storage facility, correct?
Correct.
And then I might just add to that that we got an email from John Albrecht, was that this morning, from the accounting firm, and they have essentially made some adjustments to our for lack of a better way to put it, master reporting sheet that goes to the state. And I believe it's now ready to go by October 7th, which is tomorrow. And Janine will file that with the state, and that's our next reporting period. And everything that we had in prior to, what was it, October 2, has been put onto there. I think the question still remains whether if someone gets a request for funds in, and the schools are particularly interested in this, I should think, Aaron, from your comments last week, if someone gets a request for funds in after the October 2 deadline for reporting on October 7th, but well prior to the next reporting deadline, will the accounting firm process that request such that the commissioners could potentially take action on distributing the money, and organizations not having to wait for 5-6 weeks to get funding that they need? Unless anyone else has heard otherwise, I don't have an answer to that question yet.
I haven't followed up with the accounting firm on that yet. I wanted to wait until this reporting deadline was passed, because I know that's what they're focusing on.
Right.
And so I wanted to, I'll follow up with them after.
Give them space to breathe a little bit until you ask that question.
Yeah.
We're probably not the only county asking that question, actually, so thanks, Tina. All
And
right.
as far as county process, there's no problem in us issuing checks before our next scheduled
Right.
payday, so to speak. But we would just need to make sure that they have gone through the accounting firm for approval first.
Right. So that there's kind of a verification in place before we cut a check. Yeah, sure. Any questions of Tina, especially as it pertains to the commissioners? Okay, hearing none, then I move that we recess into executive session in order to review grant applications pursuant to KSA 75-4319B, Article 4, to protect data relating to financial affairs or trade secrets of corporations, partnerships, trusts, and individual proprietorships with the committee, including Christine Fleming, Dave Crowfoot, Tina Spencer, present for the next 100 minutes until 4 p.m. I'm sorry, I'm going to change that. For the next 75 minutes until 3:45 p.m. with open session to resume in this room following the closed session. Is there a second?
Second.
Lloyd seconded. All those in favor say
Yeah,
aye.
Discussion.
Uh,
Just have a question.
Hold on, go ahead.
Just have a question. Deidre says she's on her way. Can she come in once we start? Okay, that's what I just want to make sure. She's on her way.
Yeah, thanks,
All right.
Randy. Okay, I'll call the question now. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Before we go into executive session, Tina, I have a quick sort of protocol question. If we were to finish before 3:45, that's not a problem, is it?
You cannot take any action when you come out
Until 3:45?
until 3:45.
Okay, all right, fair enough. All right, very good. So we'll move into executive session now.
Okay, so the meeting online will resume at 3:45.
Everybody act normal.
At this time, we're moving back into open session.
Wait a second, please. I just need
Okay.
to make sure we have the recording going.
You bet. Just tell me when.
For the testing, you know, that I got
There it goes, now it's.
so,
This conference will now be recorded.
We're moving back into open session and we're distributing the nonprofit, hard copies of the nonprofit grant applications. There'll be no decisions made at this point because we still have more work to do. And so our next step is to schedule another meeting. And we will do that here after we've distributed all the hard copies.
we hate to do it because it's pretty easy to identify since we have copies. circulation is not
You know,
super.
everybody knows who goes to school. And most, last night they knew that.
But that doesn't come from me.
I know it doesn't.
So,
Just
because we can't even let the children do the
So you're doing some work on it.
contact.
Yeah.
They have to tell us. So it's,
Nice to have a map of
is
pins in
this
it. I
just
guess,
one?
you know.
I guess you don't get those real honest.
Okay. That's the thing.
Yeah, there's Mary.
Is that very-
Yeah, there's those from Mary.
And the one that I do was he always say no to it. It's not populated.
That's a thick one.
Yeah.
Here, this is-
This whole, if you don't mind.
Where's the back? Hey Christine, here's an extra one of this.
Okay.
Did someone not get St. Luke?
I've not
Auxiliary?
taken any of the copies because I already have them all. Good.
Something I can staple them.
Yeah, I've had one of those already.
All right, I think everyone has them.
Okay, if people have access to looking at calendars, let's contemplate a next meeting date and time. The rest of this week, unfortunately, depending on how you look at it, is out for me. I look at it as very fortunate because on Friday I'm flying to Fresno to meet our first grandson.
Congratulations.
So, thank you. And we have board meetings at Tabor on Thursday, so if we wanted to fit something in tomorrow afternoon, I could, I could make that work. If we want to just try to knock this out tomorrow. I'm booked in the morning, but I'm open in the afternoon, all afternoon.
I can't in the afternoon tomorrow.
Okay.
I'm out tomorrow.
Okay. So then the next time that I would be available would be the 14th. Our flight gets back late on the 13th. And I could also make something work on the 15th.
We need to try for the 14th if we can.
14th is a week from tomorrow.
I'm okay morning, all right. Yeah, I'm okay morning.
It'd have to be afternoon.
What are your openings in the afternoon? I'm open all afternoon on the 14th.
I think if we could do it, meet at 1 and then,
Go as long as we
One
need to.
Go as long as-
One doesn't work for me.
How about
Okay.
1:30?
Conference call every day at 1
Does
o'clock.
1:30?
2
About
o'clock.
2 o'clock.
2 o'clock.
2 works for me.
Can you skip a conference call?
I guess I could if I had to.
Can we go to 5?
What day are we looking
I
at?
could.
What is it, 14?
Or could we go to 5 on Wednesday, 2 to 5 if we need to? Hopefully we don't, but I'd like to
Get it done.
get it done. I mean, we're gonna be a whole nother week out before we're even to a
And
point.
people not gonna get the money till,
Yeah.
We got work to do after we
Yeah.
finish.
And they've gotta spend
Right.
it by the end of the year, and by the end of
So-
the year, I mean like December 10th or something, you know? I mean,
get closer to November.
I don't think it's next year's gonna take us anything.
Yeah, especially if we do that process that we
Yeah.
was talking
Give our
about.
homework all the time.
So 2 o'clock Wednesday.
Shall we block out on all our calendars 2 to 5
On the 14th.
on the 14th?
Here.
Is that okay, Tina, on the calendar for this room?
I think so. Commissioners have, some of the commissioners have KAC, a virtual conference, but I think they'll probably be doing that from their own devices and not here, so.
So I'm gonna put it on all of your calendars right now.
Tina, I have a question for you. There are several nonprofits in which I sit on the board for. Do I need to abstain? Okay, that's kind of what I was thinking.
On
I would
those
say yes.
particular ones?
Yeah, there's, I'll have to look through here again,
I
but
guess so.
Peabody Community Foundation, I don't sit on their board, but I sit on the parent company's board. So I think I can
Well,
abstain on that one.
actually, you haven't done any official voting at this point. You've just
That's
been
true.
reviewing. If you take an official vote, I would say that it would apply to any of you, that if you're sitting on the board of that organization that's being approved, that you would abstain from.
Is
You
there,
would probably need to disclose which ones and then
Yeah.
abstain from that.
is there a difference between sitting on the board and Aaron and I being employed by one of those organizations?
Do you have the decision-making powers over the organization?
Well,
I mean,
certain
Depends
decisions.
on your theory.
Certain decisions.
Depends on what decision you're talking about.
Legally, probably no, but.
Check with the secretary.
Seems like I make a bunch of them every day.
yeah, I know what you mean.
I
If
think
you're
one-
not the governing body, I think you're probably okay, but I can double check.
I think for me, it's just gonna be Overbrook, Kiwanis, and the Peabody Community Foundation.
So then, what I hear you saying is we need to structure the vote such that when those two get approved or not, Anthony has the ability to
And
abstain.
maybe have a point before you take the vote where any members can disclose if they have a conflict of interest on any of the applications.
Mhm. Because what I had in mind was that we would be voting
As a
until this
group.
came up.
Yeah.
In group?
Yes.
And I just thought about that today, but
And so then what I would think is maybe it could go something like this. Let's take the businesses, for example. Is there any conflict of interest that anyone has? Yes, all right. Which ones? Well, we'll vote on those separately so that that
Yes.
person can, okay.
Perfect.
I've got it.
That would work perfect.
And it won't count as a negative vote.
No, it does not.
it's just an abstention. so.
Abstentions are generally counted with the majority.
Okay. All right?
I do have a question if we're done with that topic.
Yes, we are.
I do have a question. Two of the groups that fall under mine, two fire departments.
Mhm.
Can they act on their projects? Hillsborough, no, not Hillsborough, but Lincolnville and Gossel.
If they don't get approved, they'll have to pay for it themselves.
Yes, but, and I'm gonna agree with Dave, but I'm also gonna agree with you. My understanding is, Randy, is that they can, by submitting a request for funds with the documentation for that request. So there's no reason that they have to wait any longer. So let's just pick something, PPE supplies that cost $1,200.
Sure.
They can supply the purchase order or the invoice if they've already paid for it, and Janine can populate the spreadsheet, it can go to SJH&L for approval, it can come back to the commissioners, it can be approved, and the money can be distributed.
They both asked me, can they get started? So
They can
I-
get started,
I said, I don't
absolutely.
know yet, so.
No-
And
no different than this.
Where is that allocated on the plan?
Yeah.
It
That's
was,
what I
It's
need to know.
reimbursement.
it was moved today to, if you read John's email today, he indicates where he moved that to on the plan.
The fire
Yes,
department's
Yes.
moved to where,
he indicates
Yeah,
on
he
that
didn't
email.
move those, but I didn't.
Okay, but where was it initially? What was
It's
it
part of the
included?
county distribution,
Oh.
but it's
They're
not
a
anymore.
county entity, right?
Right.
Well,
They're like-
so
But it's-
then is
yes
it,
and no,
so
because
what
they're
project
rural
was
fire
this?
departments.
What
So did
project
it
where was it
take
listed under?
money
before?
out of the county's money?
Yeah, because that's not what our understanding was. Was it under one of the projects that you had, Randy?
It wasn't under one of my projects, no. No, but they
It was
submitted
a
their own
tab by
project.
itself.
They submitted their own project when we started this at the very beginning of this madness. They submitted two projects, I think it was for PPE items and things like that. I think one or two of them got a reimbursement at the onset, and then they had a separate project, both of them have separate projects.
Okay.
No, only Lincolnville had a reimbursement, but both of them do have a separate project. that they're requesting funds for.
So was that in a category when the schools were allocated and then the fire departments were too?
Yes.
I don't know where it was.
There was a fire district's 5,600.
That sounds about right, yeah,
Yeah.
it wasn't a lot of money.
Okay,
Yeah.
I just wanted to make sure that I knew where we were.
And it was separate. Where did they move it to?
So here's what he says, we had to make reporting changes that are noted on the memo as well to the main spreadsheet. Namely, moving the schools and cities from a program to a transfer, and moving the fire districts from the county bucket to a transfer since they are separate reporting entities.
Okay.
I don't think that changes my answer to Randy's question.
No, I don't think so
They were
either. I just
separate.
wanted to
thoroughly
make
lost
sure
it.
that they were separate and that
Yeah.
we
And that
weren't
it wasn't-
including that in,
The county's
because I'm
funds.
trying to keep track of the county bucket.
Yeah.
And I
Right.
didn't know about that one.
Did you,
So-
should I
Which-
forward
which
this
is something
email to you,
different.
Tina?
Pardon
Should
me?
I forward this email to you? I
So-
don't.
No. that's
So in
fine.
other
Okay.
words,
So
they can spend
They
it,
need,
but if the
they need to go ahead and purchase and turn in
estate,
the receipts
whatever.
that you need.
Correct.
Correct.
So with it
But
being
then
with it being a
it has to
transfer, is
be
that money just
approved
gonna be
COVID
transferred
expense.
then?
Right,
Or
it has to
is
be
it
approved
gonna
COVID
be
expense.
reimbursed?
Yeah.
And if it's PPE,
And I don't make that
I
decision,
do.
Right,
It's a good
yeah.
question.
so.
I'm not sure I
We
can
don't.
answer that.
I mean,
Take our cash, so they can go ahead and do
the
it.
transfer
It
to
is their
me
money.
is something
They may not
different
get
than
it
what
I know
we
that.
had talked
It's
about
okay.
before.
So from the
Like
Office
everything.
of Recovery's point
I lost
of
the
view-
building, remember?
I don't
But you
know the
didn't
answer
notice
to your
yet, so.
question.
I know.
But from the
That's
county
the reason we held
commission's
on.
point of view, the way I've understood it is that they want documentation for everything regardless of what the Office of Recovery's
Correct.
rules are.
Okay.
So then I think Randy needs to tell those folks they need to turn in receipts or invoices for everything.
And wouldn't they turn in the spreadsheet then, the same way every the other outside agencies are doing?
That
So
external
I think they would
spreadsheet.
need the external spreadsheet to be filled out, attach the documentation.
So that you can cut and paste it.
Right, and submit.
Would you,
And
would
now
someone
it's-
send me that spreadsheet again? Because I know we got it months ago.
If you will do me a favor,
Oh.
I know this is crazy,
Oh,
just
man, not a
email
favor.
me the need for the spreadsheet.
Doing so right now.
That's the
And I think we
documentation.
talked about this before, Tina, but I want to clarify one more time. We've got a quote for some stuff the city's doing that's part of our direct aid. Even though we haven't paid for it, we can turn it in. We'll just need to show backup documentation when we
Yeah,
pay
you
for
need a
it.
purchase order or some sort of a document.
Okay,
We've been doing it just as reimbursements after they've been paid so far.
okay.
Okay,
Checks in the mail.
I
It's
just,
coming.
and the reason I'm saying is otherwise, 90% of our direct aid is gonna come due December, because that's probably when we'll actually pay it. Unless we decide to pay ahead of time, which we'll do if we run into, I mean, we're gonna use our direct aid, if we've gotta pay before we get the stuff, that's what we'll do.
as a city, you mean, right?
Yeah, as the city, yeah.
Okay, well, let's consider our meeting for today adjourned. Thank you all for your good work again, and we will see you 1 week from tomorrow, right? That's what we
October
decided?
14.
Yep,
Yeah.
That's the rumor.
okay, very good.
It's the one that's swimming down
Hey,
there.
Christine, before we leave, I just want to quickly